Welcome back to This Week in Agribusiness. As we look out over this past 4 months, we have certainly seen the importance of exports when it comes to America's row crops, and getting those crops from growers in the heartland out to buyers around the world requires a robust system of transportation. Well, that system got updated a little bit at the end of 2020 as we had the appropriations bill signed by President Trump on December 27th. To help us understand how that has impacted our inland waterways system, we're joined by Mike Steenhoek, the executive director of the Soy Transportation Coalition. Mike, what happened on December 27th that gets you kind of excited about the fate of our locks and dams in this country?
Well, one of the pieces of legislation that was included and passed within this larger appropriations bill was the passage of what's called a Water Resources Development Act, or a WRDA bill. And what that law essentially does is it establishes a blueprint or a game plan for how we as a nation are going to attend to and improve our inland waterway system with including our locks and dams. And arguably the most notable component of this WRDA bill getting passed was a change in the cost share for when we endeavor to either build a new lock or do a major rehabilitation to a current lock. Heretofore, the responsibility was 50% from the federal government, 50% from the private sector, specifically the Inland Waterways Trust Fund. And that's populated by a 29-cent tax per gallon of diesel fuel that the barge industry pays, and ultimately customers pay as well, including farmers and agriculture. And with the law getting passed on December 27th, it changed that cost share from 50-50 to 65% federal government, 35% Inland Waterway Trust Fund, or the private sector. And the bottom line is, we hope with that cost share change, it will allow some of this work that's been lingering for years, some of these lock and dam projects that agriculture has been pining for and advocating for, will finally move from the on-deck circle to the batter's box and actually be attended to and hopefully eventually getting completed.
So, Mike, as you look out down the road for 2021, with this change in place, I know the Illinois River certainly got some love this last year with its lock and dam system. As you look out, what are some of the first tier projects that you would like to see the government take aim at when it comes to the inland waterway system?
Well, yeah, hopefully one of the things that we will see, and I think we have a real opportunity for it, is actually having some of these projects that are along the Mississippi River that are north of St. Louis that handle a lot of agricultural volume finally get some work done on them. And they're kind of finally worked its way up in the queue. And so now the time is to actually attend to them and actually prioritize some of these projects. That would be a significant benefit to agriculture, and obviously very timely given the fact that we've got a strong export program going on right now. We want our supply chain to be operating at full capacity during this time.
You bet. It certainly needs to be robust, and that raises an issue I've heard from some growers, and I don't know the answer to, I'm assuming you will, which is when we go in to make these upgrades to the inland water system, are we going to be disrupting trade at that moment? Do we typically need to see the locks or dams closed as the renovations happen?
Sometimes that's the case, and we had a closure along the Illinois River this past summer for several months due to the major rehabilitation that did occur. Other times when you build a new lock, you're often able to do it at a different site, a few hundred yards away from the current site, so you can have construction on a new facility while the existing facility is still operational. And when the new facility is completed, you're able to simply close the old one and transition to the new. So it really kind of is site specific, but the goal is to be able to do a new construction project while still the existing one is operational.
Gotcha. Now, Mike, we talk a lot about the inland waterways in this country because they are a phenomenal competitive advantage for American agricultural producers. But of course, we need ways to get the grains from the central part of the country to the waterways. And a lot of times that involves both trains and trucks. Were there any benefits in that December 27th bill for the railroad industry?
Yeah, the railroads are certainly an important part of our supply chain, and one of the underappreciated components of that is our short line and regional railroads. We were happy with the passage of the appropriations bill that Congress and the president made permanent a tax credit for short line railroads whenever they endeavor to repair or maintain or upgrade their existing track infrastructure. And short line railroads really play a significant role. A lot of times that first initial mile at origination point or that last mile at the destination, linking up with the large class one roads, the class one railroads, the Union Pacifics and Norfolk Southerns of this world. But that those short line railroads really provide a lot of that strategic service. They're a very critical part of our supply chain. We're very pleased to see that they got some additional support as well.
Now, Mike, with just the short time we have left, as you look out, what are some other objectives you have in Washington, D.C. this year to improve soy transportation?
Well, there'll be a lot of attention on doing a comprehensive infrastructure bill, and that's certainly welcome news. What we're really focused on is to make sure that we're not just focusing disproportionately on the needs of urban America, things like urban transit, passenger rail, those kind of things, subways. We want to be attentive to the needs of rural America. So one of our big strategic priorities is to make sure things like rural roads and bridges are incorporated into that discussion. That's the mode of transportation that's very relatable to farmers, and that really provides that linkage from that farm. Very important to us to focus on rural roads and bridges.
All right, we'll continue to see that focus coming. Thank you so much, Mike Steenhoek, Executive Director of Soy Transportation Coalition.